What is yoga? I love asking this question because I always get such different answers. And I think maybe that's the most exciting part of it for me. So I want you to you can pause if you want. I'm going to ask you this quick question and then take a moment, right, to pause, to reflect, to ask yourself, if you and I were talking to one another, there's no one else in the room, no way that you can, feel embarrassed or not ready to speak up. It's just you and me. And I'm like, hey, I just heard this word yoga. What is yoga? What would you say in response? So take a moment before I give you any other information. You can write it down if you want. If you have a piece of paper, you can write it down, or just pause the video and think in your head, what would I say? Yeah. And chances are my response to you would be, you're right, it is. And also, right? So yoga is a lot of different things. It's actually not well understood. And so my hope is to give you just like a little tidbit of what yoga is. So first, it's important to know yoga is old. It is like somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 years old. And it was created in India, right? So in Asia, right? Other side of the world. And because it's been practiced for so long by so many people, it's really different. So yoga can be one thing to one person. It can be totally different to another person. So that's really important to understand. So what is yoga? In the context of yoga, mindfulness, and resiliency, what we're talking about is yoga as one simple thing. It is the bringing together. The word yoga roughly translates to the word yoke, which is a bringing together, a joining. And what are we bringing together? We're bringing together the physical body, right, which you might know through stretches or different moves. We're also bringing together the breath, so that we're physically moving while we breathe, and we're bringing consciousness to that. And then we're bringing together the mind, right? So mind, breath, body, all working together. And when we do that, right, when we join together body, breath, and mind, we end up bringing ourselves into this state of better brain functioning, better physical functioning. We're actually just able to do better and be better. So, if you play sports, being able to have a balanced brain and a balanced physical body obviously can be really helpful, right? When we practice yoga, we're actually doing a lot of different things. So you might think of it as the physical shapes that we make. But there's actually a lot more happening that we don't really talk about in yoga class. But you wouldn't learn that until you become a yoga teacher and you're like, wait a second, I didn't know all this other stuff was part of yoga. Yeah, it is. It's not the same as other types of fitness. There's just a lot more happening. So yoga actually has a different, parts of it. One of them is the physical moves that we make. Another one is breathing techniques. And another one is meditation, and then there's mindfulness, and there's where we bring our attention, and the list goes on and on and on. We also have, ways in which we can be and act kind to ourselves, and ways in which we can be kind and act towards others. There's a whole bunch of other stuff out there that we're not going to get into in the span of just a few classes together, but it is important to know that it's out there, and if you're interested or curious, I'm happy to answer whatever questions I can, and I'm happy to do additional videos if you think it would be helpful for you. So what can you expect in a typical yoga class? And I think this is the thing that's really important, because yoga has movement and mindfulness and breath techniques and ways in which we can be kind to ourselves and others. We bring a lot of those things into all of our classes. And so in some of our classes, we're going to do a lot of movement. And in some of our classes, we're going to do more breathing techniques. And in some of our classes, we're going to do more meditation or mindfulness stuff to help clear our heads. And in other classes, we might do more about, how we are acting towards ourselves or others, or how can we be more kind or compassionate or caring or truthful, or things like that. So that is yoga. It's a whole bunch of stuff, and I know that I talk really fast, so if that was too much, feel free to rewind and listen again. And again, if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them and give you more information. So what are we after? In yoga class, really, we're looking at getting in that zone, right? We want to bring the body and the breath and the brain together. And there's a lot of really simple, easy techniques that we can use in just a couple of minutes to make that better. And if we were to do that really regularly, gosh, we might even start to feel, not only will the brain start to work better, but we might also start to feel a little better. We might start to feel a little happier, or feel a little less stressed, or a little less anxious, or be able to understand ourselves better. And that stuff, gosh, that can help change your life. It can help make living easier. It can make you happier, that's for sure. But it can also help you as different parts of your life come in, and you have to make choices and take action. And when you have this awareness of like who you are and how you feel, and you can balance yourself really well, then you can ride those waves. And so when we talk about resilience, really what we're talking about is being able to meet the challenges of whatever shows up in life. And we'll learn more about that, as we go through the program. So for our yoga time together, it might be helpful to write down some of the things that I mentioned that you might be interested in. Maybe it's nothing, and that's totally okay. But I promise that if what you're looking for is, whether it's something more athletic or something really relaxing, we have that and everything in between in our yoga experience. Yoga is dynamic. It can be exercise, and it can be just laying down in the comfiest clothes you have with a warm blanket on you and relaxing the body and the mind, and everything in between. So I would love to hear from you. What out of that would you prefer? What are you interested in? Was there anything that was surprising to you that I shared? Maybe about how old yoga is, or that it came from another country or in another culture. Whatever it is, having little sparks of interest can really help you to get to the next step and to continue your journey. What are you interested in exploring? Write it down, maybe put it in your journal, and I can't wait to hear what you want to learn. Be well, and I'll see you soon.